Shalom, 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 Shabbat shalom. What's up with the fam in here, man? What's going on? Shalom, mother dad. Let me know if I'm coming in all right, man. Hit it. Give me a 7 in the chat or something. I'm trying to follow up and make sure everything's good on my end. All right, test your mic.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Testing 1, testing 2.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Let me
Testing 2.
put this on. All right, Shabbat shalom, Shar. What's good, my brother? We'll get a few more minutes, man. Let everybody get their notifications up and come on in, man. Wipe your feet. You come on in. Wipe them. Mic check, mic check. Hey, Aladad, I'm gonna hit you after class. I got something to laugh at you with. Hey, shalom, brother Ryan. Shabbat shalom, right? Make sure everybody done hit their feet on the rug when they came in. Most are willing, they went down. Up. Hit it, man. Hit it. Hit that button, man. All praises, man. All praises to the Most High Yahweh Shai. Hopefully, everybody's solid. We're gonna get started very shortly. Very shortly. So I'll make sure I got everything lined up over here, and it's gonna be time to go. All right, let's see here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get rocking there, man. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh Shai, man. Welcome everybody to Messengers of the Covenant, MOTC's Clothing Sabbath class. As you can see in the title, we're gonna talk about the truth about New Year's celebrations, its pagan origins, and why our people need to be relieved of that. It's going to be a review for some. It's going to be new for others. Some, especially brothers that's learning and gathering more arrows into your quiver. This would be good for you to get some more resources, some more things to make sure that you're able to refute your friends and family and those that are begging and urging you to come on over tonight at midnight so you can celebrate with them, or to go over there and go eat black eyed peas and make wishes and false vows tomorrow. Before you go out there and you spending up your money on the Sabbath, and maybe some of y'all bought your. I'm not talking about anybody that's on here. Why? I'm talking to those that come on later and watch. Those that find this video when you was out there trying to buy your champagne on the Sabbath, which is against the laws of God, to go pop that bottle. Know that that was wrong. Hey, shalom, brother Joshua. Hopefully you well, brother. Shabbat shalom, Mike, and to the rest of the brothers, man. All right, so let's get to it, man. Let's start off with John 8 and 32. Let's go there first. We're going to hit some scriptures first, then we're going to get some history, then we're going to get into the pagan origins, and then we're going to wrap it all up with the truth. But we got to start off with exposing and establishing where the lies stem from. But our Savior, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, told us that this is going to be necessary in order for us to move on in our lives and our growth and our relationship with the Most High in Christ. Lies are going to have to be exposed. Truth is going to have to be followed. John 8:32. Let's go.
Book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
So Christ himself said that we have to know the truth, and the truth is what's going to make us free, not set, make us free. That means that we have to expose all lies. You can't have one without the other. I say that all the time. They can't exist without the other. The world, the secular world wants to talk about, what do they say? You reap what you sow. The Moabite community in the East, Eastern philosophies talk about yin and the yang, positives and negatives, truth and lies. Those are all polar opposites. The scriptures even talk about one realm being set against another, one people against another, all of those things. This is why the Most High is letting us know that, Yahweh Shai lets us know that the truth has to be exposed. It goes back to Neo and Morpheus in the Matrix when he offered Neo the blue and the red pill. And he said, all I can offer you is the truth. And he said, make your choice. And Neo took that red pill. So Yahweh Shai is saying the same thing. The only thing that can be offered is the truth. And that's what has to be established. That's what has to be followed if we declare ourselves to be followers of Christ and true Christians and true followers of the word of the Most High. But we're going to have to do what's true. And if something is false, we got to separate from it and leave it alone. Colossians 2:8. So, off the rip, where can we find celebrations of New Year's, January 1st, in the Bible? You can't. So that should be already red flag number one as a falsehood that has taken over the mentality of our people. That has to be off the rip understood. So Colossians 2:8, let's go there.
The book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 8. Beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world,
So
and
do
not.
we Salaki. So we see right there. Hold on. I'm gonna share my screen with the scriptures. Um we see here where the Most High forewarned us and said, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. So a warning is being put out there. Why? Because we have to protect our souls, we got to protect our families, protect our minds. Warning has been told. Beware, lest any man spoil you. Well, what comes with spoiling? When somebody actually is receiving adoration, gifts, flatteries, things that doesn't come with the actual consequence, you get spoiled. So what do I tell? Oh, there's nothing wrong with celebrating January 1st. There's nothing wrong with celebrating New Year's. You're telling me I'm going to go to hell or I'm going to die if I eat pork or whatever? Yeah, because you're spoiled in your understanding and thinking that there are no consequences for your actions. All I'm doing is celebrating and making a New Year's resolution, and it helps me goal set. No, those things are not scriptural. Why? Because it's based upon philosophies and vain deceits, vain, worthless lies. That's why we read the first scripture. Um, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Free from what? Vain deceit, vain lies. It's a complete vanity to talk about it's a new year, something new has occurred tomorrow, and you go tell that to the people in Buffalo whose whole houses and neighborhoods and stores are shut down and frozen over. Tell them that everything is new right now. Everything is great. Go tell everybody in the Midwest and in the South that experienced harsh weather conditions and snow and rain falling up, that everything is new right now. All the old things, all of the hardships, all the time that's over with now. We're into a new season. No, we're not in a new season. What are they talking about? That's a vain deceit. That's a worthless lie. Okay. And it says after the tradition of men. So as we're going to see, the implementation of January 1st being the new year was instituted by the will of man, not by the will of the Most High. And who's at the helm of that? The so-called white man. After the Gregorian calendar gets established, Rome inserts these new months in January, February. Before they only had like 10 months. Then when they started constructing these calendars, the Julian and the Gregorian calendars, new months was added in after pagan god worship. And our people don't even understand and know that these things are relevant. Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at this real quick. Why does the new year start on January 1st? Okay. I really want to just get right to the meat of it, but it's more or less in here. But I'll read. Let's just read right here. Iraq, can you read that? Is that good enough?
Con, I can read it.
All right.
All right, it says, it later became clear that the Julian calendar required additional changes due to a miscalculation concerning leap years. The cumulative effect of this error over the course of several centuries caused various events to take place. It went away.
Salaki, hold on one second. Yeah, Salaki, y'all. I'm just trying to get this camera together. All right. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to get this camera together. They have me looking a little off. All right. So let's get back to it, Rara.
Con.
You can start there.
All right. It later became that the Julian calendar required additional changes due to the miscalculation concerning leap years. The cumulative effect of this error over the course of several centuries caused various events to take place in the wrong season. It also created problems when determining the date of Easter. Thus, Pope Gregory the is the 13th?
Yeah.
The 13th introduced and revised a revised calendar in 1582.
So notice the date, 1582. Go ahead.
In addition to solving the issue with leap years, the Gregorian calendar restored January 1st as the start of the new year.
After tradition of men. So the Gregorian calendar under the Romans is when they established and continued on with January 1st as the start of the new year. But go ahead.
While Italy, France, and Spain were among the countries that immediately accepted the new calendar, Protestant and Orthodox nations were slow to adopt it. Great Britain and its American colonies did not begin following the Gregorian calendar until 1752. Before then, they celebrated New Year's Day on March 25th.
Imagine that. Why did they say that they were celebrating on March 25th? Well, that's what the scriptures say. In the springtime, in the month of Abib, is when that's supposed to take place, which is between March and April. Great Britain and its American colonies didn't even start keeping this until 1752. So we're talking about something that was instituted by the Romans that all of a sudden now was changed from the spring, an acknowledgement of when the new year begins, and then they went ahead and instituted it in saying it's going to be January 1st now. So that's just one small little thing. This is an article you can find on Britannica.com. and you can read a little bit more. Now you see here, uh, read read this paragraph right here too, all right?
Con. We can partly thank the Roman king Numa Pompilius, according to tradition, during his reign in circa 715 to 673 BCE. Numa revised the Roman Republican calendar so that January replaced March as the first month. It was a fitting choice, since January was named after Janus, the Roman god of all beginnings.
Oh,
March was like,
there. Okay, so we see some evidences there that what January was named after Janus, the Roman god of all beginnings. So, like we said before, we're talking about the institution of these months based after their pagan god. So, Janus is the god of all beginnings. That's where the name January comes from. Read on.
March celebrated Mars, the god of war.
Another pagan god, where we get another name of the month from. Go ahead.
Some sources claim that Numa also created the month of January. However, there is evidence that January 1st was not made the official start of the Roman year until 153 BCE.
So we're seeing the origins of January 1st, the gods' names, the dates in which they started implementing these particular forms of worship, and then we see the pagan roots behind it, pagan god Janus, and he's even in cahoots with Saturn, which is going back to Saturnalia, which we'll read a little bit more on that later. There's another article here that we'll read a little bit more on, but I just want to get that other point that we was making in Colossians 2. 2 and 8. But read that one more time, Colossians 2 and 8.
God. This book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 8.
Oops. It's on the screen if you need it.
Okay, yeah, I got it. My fault. Lost the page for a second. All right, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
So the scriptures is advising us to beware lest we be spoiled by any means, by any man that comes along with a philosophy and a vain, worthless lie after the traditions that men establish after the rudiments of the world. As we see, that's all that the world is concerned with. Everybody in the secular world is getting ready and preparing, even in their frozen states and their rained out days. I was talking to Elder Rashab. He was talking about, even though the first falls on a Sunday, they won't sell. They never do anything on the Sunday. It always has to be on that Monday. So whether or not that was still implementations from the Christian church saying that Sunday is still sacred and you can't do that, I haven't looked at the roots of that, but it's very possible that that's the reason why they do that. That they're not having a parade and doing all the other folly tomorrow. They're going to do wait until Monday to do it, which is more confusion and more foolishness. But it's the rudiments of the world, and it's not based after Yahweh Shai. Daniel 7:25. Let's go there.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
So who is this that's going to do this? He's talking about one of the kingdoms of establishments of rulers. He's talking about the so-called white man. The last two kingdoms that were established in this chapter, Daniel the seventh chapter, you're talking about the four great beasts, the four kingdoms that was established. The Babylonians, the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, and then the Romans. So during the time of the Greeks, this is when they started to establish rule. This is when Job 9:24 kicked in regards to them ruling the world and all manners of wickedness. Rome took the mantle and carried on in the traditions of its predecessors. This is where you get the Greco-Roman era, and they also borrowed along with Babylon. All right. So the so-called white man said he's going to speak great words against the Most High and it's going to wear out the saints of the Most High. So that goes without saying. You're talking about slavery, oppression, um, last hired, first fired, the whole nine: whips, hangings, lynchings, rapes, false accusations, killing ourselves just to live through our 9 to 5s, people working 2 and 3 jobs just to try to maintain, having to work all day, leaving your kids at daycares and preschools and everywhere else. They're raising up the kids, and then when you get home, you're wore out. You only want to spend time with the kids because you too beat down. Becoming self-medicating with drugs and alcohol because we can't take the realities that we're facing in these curse conditions. He's wearing out the saints of the Most High. Blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics are the saints of the Lord. We know that according to the scriptures. I think that Psalms 148:14 and Psalms 50:5 lets us know that the saints of Israel. So this power, this so-called white man, he's going to rise up and he's going to wear out the saints of the Most High. And then what else? Read on.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
So it says he's going to think to change times and laws. So in his establishment, he's going to change times. He's going to establish his own laws. You see what he does when he gets sworn in as a president, when he gets sworn in as an officer of the court, when he gets sworn in as a judge. What do? They pull out the Bible. They say, put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You say yes, so they throw out the Bible and they bring in their own penal codes and laws. When you swear in the president, you raise your hand and you say you're going to protect this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and blah, blah, blah. In the military, they do that. Oh, yes, throw it out. Here comes our time. I mean, here comes our laws. How's he changing times? Well, he did it by the calendar. We just got the reading a couple of different instances where you had 2 different calendars that they utilized and brought into the fray of the world to follow. You seen where it said a lot of the nations, they started catching on slowly but surely. But their establishment of them ruling and changing times and laws, he's the one that tells you that midnight is the beginning of a new day. That's why everybody's going to be waiting, counting down at 11:59 with 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, and waiting for the ball to drop and popping their bottles and doing all that. Who's telling us that the times change at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night is a new day? That's how we change times and the laws, right? So then he says, and then they shall be given. Who's they? The saints is going to be given into his hand until the times, and the dividing of times. That's a whole nother breakdown. It's the 350-year prophecy in regards to the children of Israel being in bondage and in captivity without the word of the Most High, and that seal will be broken, and we will have a 350-year period to where we will be in subjection to the so-called white man completely as a nation. We're talking Jeremiah 50:33, where the scriptures say that Israel and Judah are both being held in captivity. Let's read that real quick. Um, I don't want to misquote the scripture, but that's a different breakdown. But in regards to the 350 years, but when it says that Israel and Judah, Jeremiah 50:33.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
So there's different time frames that you could start on when this would have happened, but we're talking about as the main populace, the completion of the slave trade, maybe around 1619 or so. Even though we know that slave transports was happening in the 1500s. We know that the 10 tribes was here prior to the 1492 conquest. But the prophecy said that once we're all settled in this main populous area, we're going to be given into the hands of the so-called white man for a time, times, and a dividing of times until we were woken up with the truth. There was instances where sprinklings of the truth and seeds of the truth was coming in from the 1800s, early 1900s. Then around 1970 is when the seal was actually broken and the truth was starting to be more widespread. So that's what that's talking about. So now when it says that uh, we were going to be given into the hand for a time, times, and dividing time, that's us in complete captivity to the so-called white man. And during his reign, these are clues that we're going to see. He's going to speak great words against the Most High. He's going to wear out the saints during that time. We're going to be given into his hand. You understand? That's why I said that the children of Israel and the children of Judah were in captivity together. That's what's being given into his hand. Go to Second Thessalonians 2, and let's read 1 down to 4. So this is all prophecy in regards to how the white man came into power and the things that he did that was diabolical, and it now still reigns to this day. When you backtrack and you see, well, where and how did this thing happen? Where and why did these things go down? Why are we following after these particular traditions? Our people don't even question it; they just do it. Why? Because it's a tradition. It's the way. It's the way. Only way the people know. You understand? So this is why we're seeing people just blindly following. This is why we're known as sheep. Second Thessalonians 2.
The book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand.
So we see in here it says, "Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, and by our gathering together unto him." So the gathering of the sheep is to Christ. Doesn't matter about your camp, the acronym, whatever the case may be. It's about us all gathering the sheep together and bringing them in the name of Christ, Hamashiach Yahushai. Okay. Now it said that we shouldn't be shaken in mind or be troubled, neither in spirit nor by word nor by letter from us, as the day of Hamashiach is at hand. So as we're seeing these last day prophecies and we're seeing those things unfold, y'all watch DSTM, you see everything that's going on. You understand and know the times that we're living in. The second Ezra 9 told us to measure the time so that we can prepare and know when the second coming of our Lord is going to happen. So it said that we can't be shaken in mind or be troubled or in spirit or by the word. But read on.
Let no man deceive you by any means.
Now hold on. It said, "Let no man deceive you by any means." So here we go again, talking about vain deceit. Colossians 2:8. We're hearing about Yahweh Shai talking about ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now we're hearing about let no man deceive you by any means. So obviously, lies, hypocrisies, all that folly needs to be exposed and shown to say this is not the way. I need to stop doing this. By any means, you have to do it. We have to do it. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means." So if our people are in a deceptive mind and they're thinking, oh, January 1st is the new year, don't know the histories behind the pagan origins behind it, don't know the history behind why and how these particular calendar dates was inserted, don't even understand and know why, how they're connected with them trying to keep and observe Easter, which isn't scriptural either. Don't understand and know why and how. When the Lord said, learn not the way of the heathen, it wasn't just Christmas. No manners of learning from the heathen should be accepted or tolerated. So let no man deceive you by any means. Go ahead.
For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the,
So
s-
go ahead.
the son of perdition.
So the son of perdition is the so-called white man. Now it says, except to be a falling away first. The falling away was the children of Israel falling to the and being victims of the curses. Okay, so we went through and have gone through uh, our cursings. Let's look at this definition just so that we can get a clear understanding. Okay, so it says perdition. The son of perdition means someone who's going to have or experience an entire loss or ruin, utter destruction. Well, who do we not read in the scriptures that said that's going to happen to? Everybody should be saying in unison Obadiah, and then we read about Esau and his ending, that he's going to have utter destruction, right? the utter loss of the soul, or of final happiness in the future state, future misery, or eternal death. You understand? So, how do we know and understand that that's speaking about the so-called white man? Go ahead and read that. Hold Thessalonians. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. But as we see and understand by definition what it means to be the son of perdition, Obadiah 1, I think I want 18.
The book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it.
Okay, so now we just got to seeing what's going to happen. Who's the son of perdition that's going to have an entire loss and ruin, utter destruction, the utter loss of soul and or final happiness in a future state? We just got to reading about it. Esau. There shall not be any remaining of his house, and he's going to be uh devoured and kindled by the flames of Israel and the Most High. Okay, so when we're seeing about this, it says, "Let no man deceive you." They're going back to Thessalonians. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there be a falling away first. So the day cannot come until the children of Israel had a falling away. Well, we fell from grace. We fell from our position in the earth by being cursed, breaking the laws of the Most High. Right. So once that occurred, now the wheels get set into motion of exposing who the man of perdition is, who the one is going to have to receive ultimate judgment, who helped forward the affliction of the saints. Okay, and that's what that boils down to. Matter of fact, go to before we read in Thessalonians again, go to uh go to Second Ezra 5:9. You know what? No, go to Second Peter 3:7. Second Peter 3:7, and then we'll go to Ezra.
Book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, verse 7. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word are kept in stone, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
See, that's the judgment of the so-called white man. It said that he's going to have fire in a day of judgment for being an ungodly man. Right now, Second Ezra 5:1, and then we'll go back and we'll finish up in Second uh, Thessalonians.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith.
See, and that's what we're talking about with the children of Israel, and we're actually the truth being taken away from us, a falling away that happened. We're the ones who dwell upon the earth in great number. The scriptures tell us that we're as the sands of the sea, an innumerable multitude. And it says the way of truth is going to be hidden from us, and the land shall be barren of faith. So we're going to be taken away. We're going to lose out on understanding who we are. We're going to have our memories erased. We're going to have to have total recall and have a born identity, to give you a couple of movie quotes to, follow along and understand the spiritual essences of those movies. It's really talking about us having to regain our memories and understand who we are so that we can come back and rightfully, you know, sit in our places, right? And figure out and understand the conspiracy and the threats that embark upon our nation and take off the blinders. All right. That's all I need from that. Let's go back and read Thessalonians again and read verse 3 and verse 4.
2nd Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
So, the so-called white man is brazenly open now and acknowledging and showing his iniquities. He's not afraid to lie anymore. He's showing his A double dollar sign, as they say. He's showing himself out there to be completely the plague and everything else that everybody was having to deal with, the lies, the exposures that we're seeing from him, the oppressions that he's laying down. I mean, he's out there showing himself to be the man of perdition. The history is starting to show, the books are being opened, research is being done, people are understanding the crimes that he's committed. And now this is why you see so many, you're starting to see the nations are running around trying to gather together and trying to show some action, some form of repentance. You got a Japanese group. I think they said it's like 72, a group of 72 different groups of small groups of Japanese are running around trying to petition for so-called blacks to get reparations. When has that ever happened? We in the last days when you start seeing the heathens trying to, make amends for the ills of the so-called white man. They basically like he did it, but we'll try to help you out. Just don't take us down with them. Over there in Italy, they had some of y'all probably seen that video. They had the parade and the float, and they had the a big float of a so-called black image of what was it? They had the Statue of Liberty crown on it. The Jake was in shackles, and it had a serial. Uh, uh, jail ID on the uniform that he was wearing, and it was symbolic of them showing how America and the Lady Liberty, has profiteered off of the slavery and incarceration of the so-called black man. So here they are, and in their own parades doing it. Where and when does that ever happen? But it's a little too late for that because now he's been revealed. People starting to say, "Hold on, we're not with that. Those you guys are the guys." I mean, you even seeing the Revelation 2 and 9, 3 and 9 GMO small hats coming out and trying to compromise. Oh yeah, the Jews are multi-ethnic though. Yeah, you guys are Jews too. And no, we're not looking for your approval and your stamp, and we're not looking for you to try to solidify us as being grafted in. That ain't happening. We're the real ones. You ain't. And that's the bottom line. But 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for certain, 15 years ago, when we would have those debates with them, they was not copping to it at all. They was not trying to have us assimilate and say that we're the real ones. Now, because of all the information and everything coming, they have to cop to it. But it's too late. You've been revealed. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he is as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Well, who's done that? I mean, he sets himself to be the most high. He does it in movies and films, TV, literature, all the artwork, the Renaissance era, when he changed all the dark skin images, said that it was him, depicted himself as being Christ. He's exalted himself above anything and all that's called the most high. He believes that he is God. And we'll get that precept later. The so-called white man is moved in his vanity right now. But he said this is all description that we see of where he was going to be coming from and why these things were going to happen. Let's get a little history. Go to Daniel 8. Daniel 8, and let's pick it up at verse 21. We'll read down to 25.
The book of Daniel, chapter 8, verse 21.
So we're talking about when the man of perdition was revealed, the so-called white man coming into power. Uh, we talked about it with dedication, with that history out of the Maccabees. Now we're going to read about it also in Daniel and get Daniel's account in regards to the white man, and when he came into power. Go ahead.
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
Hmm.
Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it,
So
for
you know, Shalaki, you had Philip before his son Alexander. So the rough he go, they're talking about the uprising of the kingdom of the Greeks under Philip of Macedonia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. That being Alexander, really being the first king to establish world dominance. Okay. Now it says in verse 22, it says, now that being broken, once he got put to death after 12 years of reigning, whereas four stood up for it. So the four is talking about is his four generals. But continue on.
four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power.
Right. So what it's basically breaking down is that uh um Alexander had been out of power. The four generals that came up, this is what they call the Diadochi um, rulership, which is the four rulers. You had Cassander, Lysimachus, you had Ptolemy, and you had the Seleucid. All four generals came up and started ruling in their own stead. We talked about it during dedication. You want a little bit more history on that? Go back and check the lesson on it if you didn't already. Um, and then you had and I made mention of it in that lesson, but I couldn't remember the other general's name. But Antigonus. Antigonus was another general of lesser known fame, and didn't have a long reign in regards to his area. He was overtaken by the Seleucid Empire, and they took his portion. But Antigonus was another one. All right, I finally remembered it. I remembered from the lesson. I was like, man, there was another one. It begins with I can't remember. I can't remember. But Antigonus was the other one. All right. So you had the four generals. They had the four kingdoms standing up out of the nation, not in his power. Read on.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Oh, so imagine that. Now we've read about we'll read about that in a minute. But who was that? When we read about that in Maccabees, it tells you about a wicked root that was going to come up during the wicked times. It said the earth was full of evil. That's why it's saying, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Go ahead.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
And he did that, and we'll read about it in a minute. Go ahead.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
So he ultimately died as he had ulcers and all kind of disease all on himself. Antiochus Epiphanes is how he ended up dying, right? So he didn't die by anyone's hands. He died of illness and sickness. The Most High took him out, right? But it said that he's going to, through his policies, he's going to cause craft to prosper in his hand. He's going to magnify himself in his heart. That's what that means. Epiphanes means power manifested. So when he used that surname, because Antiochus is just a title, but the surname Epiphanes, meaning power manifested, that's how he magnified himself in his heart. He's saying that I am pure and ultimate power. And that's where you get the continuation of Job 9:24, the earth being given into the hand of the wicked, him dwelling in the fatness of the earth in Genesis 27. So this is where you see the uprising of the so-called white man under the Greek Empire. This is where we start seeing that man of perdition being revealed. This is when we start seeing him manifesting through his works, and we're seeing why he's the son of perdition and why he has to be judged accordingly. Jump over to chapter 11 and let's read 20 down to 24.
Book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle.
So this is a continuation of the prophecy regarding the Greek Empire rising up, and Daniel chapter 7. When you're reading about these, you're talking about Daniel 7, Daniel 8, Daniel 11. See, this is where they're talking about the Darius, the Mede, the Persians and the Mede Empire, them running into the Greek Empire and going through their wars, and the uprising of the Greek Empire and what's happening here. So Antiochus the first, he passes away. That's the one they said they shall stand up in the rate up in his estate, a raiser of taxes and the glory of the kingdom, but within a few days he'll be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So when his successor, which was his son, you got Antiochus the first, then you had his son. His son was Seleucus Philopator. Now it says that he would reign a few days, meaning he had a short reign. He reigned around 12 years as well. When he passed on, then it was given over to Antiochus Epiphanes, which is the one that we read about in the Maccabees. This is the one that we're seeing. Um, read verse 21. Read verse 21.
Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries.
Keep going.
And and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and he shall be broken, and shall be broken. Yea, also the prince of the covenant.
Right, the prince of the covenant, that's Yasser Allah. We're the princes of the power. We were the ones given the covenant, but they also had covenants amongst each other. So when you're looking at Antiochus, he's at war and trying to go against the Ptolemy Empire. So they were having particular treaties that was being made, covenants being made, that was being broken. War was going on. Part of this again, I went over in the dedication lesson, right? So it said, with his arm and his flood, they shall overflow him before him, and he's going to be broken. Yea, also the prince of the covenant. So that's when they started making war with the Ptolemy Empire and breaking their own covenants. But go ahead.
And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people.
Because this was his first real war that he was going at it with. He had a strong army, but he was young in regards to when I say was small people. It was young in regards to uh his experience war wise. All right, read verse 24.
He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which is his fathers have not done.
Now hold
Nor
on. Now this is important because even with the his forefathers and whatnot, they didn't impress upon the Jews to have somewhat forced conversions into being like the Greeks or whatnot. You had Jakes that was already riding in the armies with under Alexander. You had Jakes that was already assimilating themselves and voluntarily riding with the ways of the Greeks and being Hellenized. He's the one that made it an edict and said, this is law now. Okay. So that's why he's doing like not as his fathers has done. His fathers, they just went in just off of straight power and influence. People was already assimilating. He made it law. Go ahead.
his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time.
Okay. So this is still him fading it out. So we're talking about his wars with Ptolemy, and as he's gaining ground, he's establishing more edicts and rules uh, over the lands. So let's go to Apocrypha now, and let's read First Maccabees 1, and we'll read 10, and then we'll drop down. So
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome. and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So 137 BC, he's out here ruling in the kingdom of the Greeks. But notice in Daniel, it said that there was going to come up a vile person that was going to come and reign. This is where you see the adjective being used of a wicked root. Because jump up and read verse 9.
Verse 9. After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
So these are where those dynasties start getting established. The Ptolemy dynasty, the Seleucid Empire, and the Seleucid dynasty. You know, Lysimachus, Cassandra, they had their reigns and their dynasties. But the main two who had the most lands and the most provinces was Seleucid and Ptolemy. And here they are getting ready to go to war for ultimate and supreme rule. All right, so this is where you're seeing Antiochus coming into play, him being a wicked root, right? Drop down and let's read verse 17.
Verse 17.
Yeah, read 17 down to 25.
Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy.
So Egypt was part of the Ptolemy dynasty. So this is where he's getting ready to go to war with Ptolemy. Okay, go ahead.
And made war against Ptolemy king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him, and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude,
So now he's coming up against Israel. Okay, go ahead.
and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
This is when we're getting ready to see one of the events of the um, the desolation of the temple and the abominations that was placed within them. So all the holy vessels are being destroyed, overtaken, and now what are they doing? They're going to start instituting this and starting to building up to be a temple of Zeus. And this is where they wanted the children of Israel to sacrifice swine's flesh to Zeus and the whole nine. All right, so he's desecrating the temple, coming up against the children of Israel. Read on.
He took also the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels, and he also he took the hidden treasures which he found.
Hmm.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly.
So isn't that what we just heard earlier? That he was going to obtain the kingdom with flatteries. He was going to make himself, puff himself up, right? This is what he's over here doing. So jump over and read verse 25.
Verse 25. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were.
Yeah, every place we were. Drop down and let's get 28 down to 32. I'm just trying to get to a couple of highlight points.
Verse 28. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
Hmm.
And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
Now
For
hold
when
on. Didn't we read that earlier? It said that he was going to come speaking peace, and by right here, Daniel 11, it says, and in his estate shall stand up a vile person to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And now what are we reading in Maccabees again? When he goes and approaches to the children of Israel, now mind you, he done already desecrated the temple, tore everything up, And he still, after a couple years and expired, he still has the silver tongue. That's why the Most High told us never trust thine enemies. Because what? In 2 years, Israel gets amnesia and then forgot about it and say, oh, no, he's okay. He's cool. Yeah, he's coming back. I think he's changed. And now they want to listen to him again. Verse 30 tells it, read that again.
Verse 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
So as soon as they gave him a pass and they trusted him and they listened to his words and they thought, oh, maybe he's finally gonna change. He's gonna give us back the temple. He's gonna do things right by us. It sounds just like the Negro running around now talking about maybe he's gonna give us reparation. Maybe things are gonna change. Maybe we're gonna get our shot. Okay, we got to look at the history. You know, anything is possible, but I doubt the so-called white man is gonna make amends and repent for his evil. The scriptures say he ain't gonna do it. He'd rather fight to the end with Christ and the angels, according to Revelation 12, than to give back give back the earth and exalt the children of Israel as being the chosen people of God again. He ain't gonna do that. And this is where our people lost again. It says, "For when they had given him credence, he suddenly fell upon the city and smote a very sore and destroyed much of Israel, much of the people of Israel." Read down to 32.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle.
See, this is why we're seeing all these things that ended up happening. You know what? Read down to 34.
Verse 33. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
You see that? So then we see that Jerusalem gets overtaken. It says now a strong wall gets built up, mighty towers are made it a stronghold for them. And who got and placed into Jerusalem? Who's living amongst our people now? Sinful nation. They're allowing wicked men to rule, and they fortified themselves therein. So now the Greeks have this complete stronghold, and this is where you start seeing influences even stronger in regards to Hellenization, leaving off of the ways of righteousness and the laws of the Most High to follow after the traditions of the heathens and following after false ways. This is going all the way back then. All the way back then until 2022, we're still talking about and listening to our people following after these pagan customs and following after the ways of our oppressors. Instead of stopping, hitting the brakes at a moment in time when you do have the ability to go out there and research and find out whether or not you should or shouldn't be following after these folly days or what's the history behind them so that you can put two and two together and say, this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with my people, nothing to do with my God, my book. Then why am I doing it? Cut it off. Leave it alone. Right? But you got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Let's jump over to Isaiah. Isaiah 14 and verse 13. So remember in Thessalonians, it said that he's going to exalt himself above all that is called God and the whole night. Well, who are we talking about? Actually, you can read 12 and 13. Or actually, read down to 14.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Yeah, the Christians think they talking about Satan. No. Lucifer just means the light bearer, the one who bears the light, the one who bears the knowledge. They talk about the mighty manatee man, which is one of the capital cities of Edom, or how wise they are and all of that. This is what they're talking about. Those who's worshiping in the occult, following after um, occultic worship and light worship and light practice and all that. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
So he weakened all the nations through what? His policies, through his intimidation. He weakened the nations just by dropping them bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That put everybody in check. That let it be known, hey, this man is crazy enough to bomb and kill everybody, and he don't care. That weakened the nations. When he went in and colonized South America, Central America, America, Canada, the Caribbean islands. When he colonized different areas of the Caribbean islands, that's how he came in and weakened the nations. When he went over there to the west coast of Africa and implemented the transatlantic slave trade, put all the rest of the nations on notice. He weakened the nations through his religion. This is what we just got through saying about with Antiochus. He weakened the nations um, just by implementing policy. Hold that, and you know what? I got it right here. I'll read it real quick, so we ain't got to go. Uh, reading down same Maccabees chapter 1, we'll read 41. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So when he got put into power, he weakened the nations. All the heathen agreed to follow after his ways. Many of the Israelites consented to follow after his ways. This is how we know it's a so-called white man. He ain't talking about Satan or Lucifer. Okay. And it's talking about him. How is he going to fall from heaven? What do you pray? Your heaven is here on earth. This is his heaven. You're talking about a place of dominion, rulership, servants, handmaids, untold wealth, riches, knowledge, access to whatever you want. He's got that. And the scriptures let him be. How is he going to fall from that? The same one that weakened the nations. Read verse 13.
Said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
And the sides of the north. So the north country being Babylon, meaning America. This is where he sits on the mount of the congregation. Why? Because the majority of the congregation of Israel is here in the Western Hemisphere, in this northern plains. We're talking from North, South, Central America, the Caribbean islands. This is where large populace of our people are. Although we are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, due to the curses and the diaspora, through slave trade, so forth and so on, a vast majority of our people are here. Now we're seeing how he's sitting on top. He's managing the throne. He's on top of all of us in the sides of the north. And what he said, he's going to ascend into heaven. He's going to exalt his throne above the stars of the Most High. This is why he's constantly sending out robots and rockets and satellites and trying to establish and see, can he exist outside of this earth? Can he get past that Van Allen belt so that once the earth is completely destroyed, he thinks he's going to have a way out? You know, after he had already destroyed the earth, he figured, all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and take off. And you hear them taking them trips with Elon Musk and the rest of them flying up, claiming that they, made it up out of the atmosphere and made it out into space. Give me a break. Yeah, does he ever say he's putting them satellites up there? He's doing everything that he can to try to establish a bird's eye view on his kingdom and thinking he is the most high. He's trying. That's his intentions. Right? Read verse 14.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
And you can read verse 15.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
So, in other words, he's going to be brought to the grave. He's going to be brought to death. All right. So, because why? Because he took this attitude that he's going to ascend to the heights of the clouds. He's going to be like the Most High. Well, that's the son of perdition that we just got to reading. Who puts himself above any and all that's called God, that goes into the temple of God and exalts himself and says that he is the Most High. Well, that's the same person. Just as we precepted in Second Thessalonians, this is where he's at. His mentality is where he believes he is the Most High. He's the one running around saying that he can be a creator, that he can create, life, be it through test tubes, be it through cryogenics for freezing eggs, and CRISPR technology with the gene editing, and talking about making designer babies. He can tell you I can make a woman a man and a man a woman, and you won't be able to tell the difference. You understand what I'm saying? I can create my own seed line of foods through GMO technology. I can create famines and plagues with his technology. See, these are all things I can create. Have fire come down from heaven with my missiles. This is everything he claims he wants to be like the Most High. I can create. I can give the people holidays. We don't need your holy days. Follow my days that I establish. This is why the Most High said he's going to be brought down to hell into the sides of the pit, meaning he's going to be destroyed and thrown in the grave. All right. Jump over to Psalms 127 in verse 2. So this is how we see him. He establishes his power. He implements these particular decrees. He operates in deceit. And then he got our people following after these ways.
The book of Psalm, chapter 127, verse 2. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep.
So why are we bringing this up? Because the scripture is telling us that it is vain. Remember, we just got to read in Colossians about vain deceit. It said it's vain for you to rise up early. Well, what do people do in telling the kids every December 25th, go to bed early? What they do? As soon as they want to rise up early so they can go run under the tree, rip open the presents, and because pretty much this is a carryover from Saturnalia into Janus, more pagan worship, right? Now they telling the kid rise up early so you can maybe you can catch Santa, maybe this is all the foolishness, man. The Lord said that's vain to rise up early and doing that, or to sit up late. What are they doing? Sitting up late waiting for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, happy new. Y'all know how I go. The Lord said that's all vain. Why? Because number one, 12 o'clock at midnight does not begin a new day. Number two, it doesn't begin a new year. And number three, you can't even explain and understand why you even doing that in the first place. Why is it a celebration? Oh, because it's a new year. Well, the Lord said, new year, same problems. You're still going to be eating the bread of sorrows. You Negroes out here running around, man, self-medicating every day. You talking about happy new year. You ain't even happy. Popping pills, getting drunk, smoking weed every dang minute, snorting whatever, who Lord knows what up your nose, fentanyl, meth, and everything else. Why? Because you ain't happy. What are you talking about? Happy New Year. Overweight. You eating to them. Why? Because you ain't happy. Too skinny. Why? You can't eat because you ain't happy. You understand? This is why. Oh, I got to make a New Year's resolution. I got to change some things. I got to. Why? Because you eating the bread of sorrows. The Lord said, but he giveth his beloved sleep. We're going to sleep through it. We ain't tripping about this foolishness. If you can, if you ain't got the maniacs out here popping fireworks and shooting guns in the air, maybe you'll get some sleep. But the Lord said it's vain to sit up late doing all that foolishness. These are all dumb, vain customs. Jump over to Jeremiah 10 and read 1 and 2.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them.
Okay, so the Lord tells the children of Israel that we're not supposed to be following after the ways of the heathen. And he specifically said, hear ye the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. So that means that we have to backtrack and we got to say, well, what are the ways of the heathen so that I don't do them, so that I don't partake in them? You understand? And if our people can't get that figured out, I mean, you can forget about it. The Lord is telling us that we got to go back and find out what are the ways of the heathen so I know I'm not doing those things. Hold on one second. It's the light's a little bright. All right. So that we know we're not doing those things. All right. So let's get back over here. We read earlier about Janus being the god of beginnings and endings, right? So here you go. This is on worldhistory.org. Janus. The Roman Republic owed much of the cultural influence of its Greek neighbors. Did you hear that? So that's why I established and seen or showed what was going on with the Greeks and the so-called white man's first establishment of power as a world power under Alexander, and then Antiochus, and so forth and so on, and the rest of the rulers. Why? Because during the Greco-Roman merge and switch, Rome carried on, and then they started implementing their own ways. In particular, dealing with the calendar and things of that nature, right? So let's look down here. It says, however, there was one guy with no Greek counterpart. This is why I said they go in and they add their own. One who symbolized both beginning and end. His name was evoked even before that of Jupiter. His name was Janus. Okay. Um, let's read down here. And this is all foolishness here about the legend and how they came up with uh his birth and everything else. Um, let's do I want to read into let me see. Yeah, let's look at this right here. It says he supposedly received Saturn when the god was driven from Greece. So again, he picks up where Saturn left off. That's where you get the Saturnalia, so forth and so on, right? He supposedly received Saturn when the god was driven from Greece. Upon his own death, Janus was deified. The second myth was him present at the time of Romulus, the founder of Rome. Following Romulus's kidnapping of the Sabine women, Rome was attacked. As the enemy under the leadership of Titus Tatius scaled the walls of the city, Janus launched a powerful jet spray of hot water, forcing them to retreat. To celebrate this deed, the doors of the temple of Janus at the Forum was always left open so he can assist the Roman soldiers in the time of war. Allegedly, Romulus established a cult honoring Janus. This is where we're seeing the cult worship, the following after uh, the heathenistic customs. So let's look at this. According to some, he was the custodian of the universe, but to all Romans, he was the God of beginnings and the ends. So this is why you see him looking forward and looking backwards. This is where we get the customs in regards to starting a new and leaving off the old. This is why our people is out here making these particular vows and these resolutions, and the Negro done entered in and cooking up black eyed peas and making their wishes about what they want to do for the new year. This is why gym memberships and new deals is all going down all the time, and people are getting enticed to come on in and get start your new year off right. Cut off this service and add this one. This is on sale. All these particular things we're starting to see every year. These things start kicking in, right? According to some, he was the custodian of the universe, but to all Romans, he was the God of the beginnings and the ends, presiding over every entrance and departure. So, what are we supposedly just are departing out of? We're departing 2022, we're entering 2023. Oh, it's all new. Meanwhile, everything is dead outside, everything is froze over, everything is washed up. What are you talking about? What's new? And because every door and passageway looks in two directions, Janus was seen as two-faced. And this in the hood and just overall culture, anybody that was two faced was somebody not to be trusted, right? But all of a sudden, now everybody, blacks and Hispanics, we want to go ahead and you want to trust after the way of Janus, who's known to be two faced, unbelievable. Or Janus Bifrons, the god who looked both ways. He was a gatekeeper. His symbols were a porter's staff or verga and a set of keys. To illustrate his importance, his name was even mentioned before Jupiter in prayers. He protected the start of all activities. He inaugurated the seasons. Did you see that? That's why they try to say everything starts in January, and January is still part of the winter season. How can he inaugurate and start the season? The first day of each month was considered sacred to him, but the first month of the year, January, which many in the present day consider named in his honor, was actually named for Juno, queen of the gods. Early early Romans coins featured his image, showing him as a two-faced, one bearded, and one clean-shaven. Later, during the Renaissance, this image of two faces will represent not only the past and future, but also wisdom. Now, they talked about the shrine in the cults. See, this is the shrine in Rome that they made to him. This is what they was coming and doing their offerings in the temples and the prayers and all of that. So people wonder, no, it's not pagan. What? Do your research. Janus, the two-faced god. Look, this is what they talk about. You see it right here. Temple of Janus. Anytime you got a temple, that means that there's some form of worship that's going on. There's some sort of monument to where they're giving obeisance to their god. See, Les Temples de Janus, the temples of Janus or Ionis. Well, they got Ionis because wasn't a J at that time. You see. Now look at this. This is I'm gonna use Wikipedia for a minute, but Janiculum. Okay. Now this is the foundational place where Janus was being built. This temple was at. Janiculum, occasionally the Janiculan Hill, is a hill in western Rome or Italy, although it is the second tallest hill, the tallest being Monte Marlo. In the contemporary city of Rome, the Janiculum does not figure among the proverbial seven hills of Rome, being west of Tiber and outside the boundaries of the ancient city. But what were they doing in Janiculum? Uh, Look at this. Ancient history and mythology. The Janiculum was the center. I know it's kind of small, but I'm gonna just read it for y'all. The Janiculum was a center for the cult of the god Janus. The cult, which lets us know that what? This is pagan worship that was going on every January 1st, all in the name of following after Janus, giving obeisance to the Roman god. Its position overlooked the city made it a good place for augurs to observe the auspices. In Roman mythology, Janiculum is the name of an ancient town founded by the god Janus, the two-faced god of beginnings. In Book 8 of the Aeneid by Virgil, King Evander shows Aeneas, the Trojan hero of this epic poem, the ruins of Saturnia and Janiculum on the Capitolian hill near the Arcadian city of Palantinium, the future site of Rome. Virgil uses the ruins to stress the significance of Capitolian Hill as the religious center of Rome. So this is part of their religious worship. That's why the Lord said, "Don't learn after the ways of the heathen." But what do we see here? The ruins of Saturnia, and Janiculum were near each other. So Saturnalia, Janiculum, Saturnia, Janiculum, they coincide. That's why you see them back to back, back to back. Okay. Um, where were we at? Jump over to Ecclesiastes 5, 2 through 6. Let's look at more of the vain customs. Ecclesiastes 2 and 5. Ecclesiastes 5 and read verse 2.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 2. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God, for God is in heaven, and thou upon earth.
Now,
Therefore let
hold on. Don't slow it down. Now, the Most High has given us fair warning. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before the Most High. So before you say, and that's a common thing, especially amongst these young jakes nowadays, on God, on God. Don't be putting nothing on the Most High that you cannot back up, verify, or you willing to stand on if it came down to judgment. That's when you really making vows. The Lord said, be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. So you know how our people do. They want to make these New Year's resolutions and last maybe about 2 weeks before you fall off. I'm gonna lose weight this year. I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm gonna stop watching it. Whatever it may be. I'm gonna be nicer to people. I'm gonna hold the door open. I'm gonna make sure. Me and my wife, we going out to dinner once a month. And before you know, you falling off. Oh, that you broke that resolution. Up, I'll just try again next year. The Lord said, "Don't do that." It says, "For the Most High is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few." A lot more can be understood by silence than to be going out yapping and doing all that extra. You understand? Drop down and read verse Uh, just keep reading. Keep reading. Read down to verse 6.
Verse 3. For a dream cometh through the multitude of busyness, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words.
You see, it says, for a dream coming through the multitude of business. So when one is occupied in many forms of business, you're going to have dreams. The Most High is going to continue sustaining you with more ideas, more ingenuity to continue on with your business. Plus, also, you work with multiple businesses, you're going to have sound sleep and dreams are going to come and you're going to be sleeping good. But the Lord said, for a dream coming through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. So we said, when you know somebody's a fool, when they like to talk a lot, all they do is talk, 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 talk. Right. Read on.
When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed.
So when a man goes before the Most High and makes a vow that he's going to do something, he has to maintain it and do it. It said you can't go and make a vow or a quote unquote a New Year resolution, which essentially is a vow, and then you fall off and don't pay it. That's why there's no fear of judgment. There's no fear to go before the Most High. You write down all these goals. You write down all this stuff you're gonna do, and next year, this year, and I'm gonna save this money. I'm gonna invest in this. I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure I do more reading and read. And then you don't do it. The Most High is gonna judge you for that. He said he's got no pleasure in fools. So sometimes it's better don't put yourself on the line if you're not prepared to pay the cost, or actually utilize it as a tool to build and grow yourself as a man or woman of the Lord. That's what the Most High is wanting us to do. So we don't, overexploit ourselves and put ourselves out there and we're not prepared to pay what we owe. The Lord said, if you do that, he said, you better pay whatever you vow. But when you're dealing with these resolutions, there's no judgment. Why? Because you follow in the ways of the heathen. He don't give a damn. Who's Janice? What's Janice going to do to you? Keep reading.
Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay.
Mm-hmm.
Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands?
You see how serious the Most High takes that? It ain't just some old plaything that you can run around and just, decide I'm gonna write down this. No. The Most High said, "Don't suffer thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, and don't say before the angel it was an error." That lets you know that the Most High got angels recording, watching everything we do. And then when you saying your prayers, and you saying, "Oops, it was a mistake. I wasn't, I didn't realize it was that hard. I wasn't supposed to." It's too late. But if you're not keeping these folly days in no manner, shape, or form, you wouldn't have to be worried about this judgment. You wouldn't have to be worried about being held accountable in such a way if you was following along and doing what the Lord commanded. Okay. Now, jump over to go to Deuteronomy 23, and let's read 21 to 23.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee.
Mm-hmm.
But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee.
Right. So the vow is between the man and the Most High. When those things is established, if you make any type of commitments to the Lord, whatever the case may be, the Lord said, make sure you take care of it. You go through with it. You follow along with the laws, because the Most High said that it will be sin upon one if they don't follow along with a vow that was made to him. Okay. Jump over to Acts. You go to Acts 16. Acts 16. So the Most High telling, he said, man, it's vain to be sitting up all late, waiting for some foolishness to go down, following after the ways of the heathen, not knowing and understanding the roots and the essences of where these things. stem from, telling us about don't be out here catching, doing these dang resolutions and all that foolishness. Okay, jump up and you can read, start at verse 17 and then read down.
The book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 17. The same followed Paul and us, and cried, saying, These men are the servants of the Most High God, which show unto us the way of salvation. And this did she many days. But Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the Spirit, I command thee in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai to come out of her. And he came out the same hour. When he heard what and when her master saw that the hope of her gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers.
So Paul and Barnabas, I mean Paul and Silas, they was out converting and teaching the Gentiles of Israel, who was out there learning after the ways of the heathen, still following after the shrines of Diana and doing all this other folly. And here he is disrupting business. Uh, Look at this. Um, yeah, well, you read verse 14. It says, "And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, worshipped the Most High, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened, that she attained unto the things which were spoken of Paul. And when she was baptized in her household, she besought us, saying, if ye have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and abide there." And she constrained us. Right. Um, Now this is where they brought a young girl to her, had a spirit on her. She ended up being healed and relieved of that spirit. Now the word starts getting out, just to catch everybody up on what's going on. Word starts getting out that Paul and Silas are disrupting the money. That's why I said that when her master saw that the hope of their gains was gone, because she's saying, I can't sell on the Sabbath no more. I ain't doing this, that, and the third. I'm following after the Most High. They said, "Oh hell no! Who's influenced you? Who got you doing otherwise?" Oh, Paul and Silas, bring them here. So read verse 20.
And brought them to the magistrates, saying, These men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city, and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans.
Now, do you see that? This is why when the children of Israel, when the men of Israel are out here teaching, this is the same attitude that our people get to having. They want to stay with White Zaddy. They want to sit back and follow after the ways of Rome, Babylon, Egypt, spiritual Sodom, the whole nine. Pointing the finger. They're saying we don't have to keep January 1st anymore. They're saying we're not supposed to be observing this anymore. And why? Because it starts ruining business. Imagine if Israel said, we're not observing this no more. Liquor sales going down, parties and reveling going down. If everybody stayed in the house and said, we ain't doing it, we ain't buying no New Year's outfits, we ain't going to the clubs, all that other stuff, everything gets shut down. You dang right somebody's going to pop up and say, hey, these guys is out here causing issues in the city. They're causing trouble, and they're teaching customs that are not lawful for us to receive or observe, being Romans. So they were saying that what they're teaching is against the law of Rome. So this is how persecution begins. What they do in read verse 22.
And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes, and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely. Who, having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison, and made their feet fast in the stocks.
You see what happened when Paul and Silas went out and started converting and getting Israel to wake up. The dang Uncle Toms ran and said, man, these guys are teaching us to go against Rome. They're teaching us to observe things that isn't part of Roman law and custom. And they had the multitude beat them down, rip their clothes off, throw them into jail, give them many stripes, just for doing what we're doing right now, man. Unbelievable. All right. Let's look at the truth, though. Let's get the truth real quick. Deuteronomy 16:1. Let's go there. Deuteronomy 16:1. I want to get this one up real quick.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Okay, so the scriptures tell us to observe, meaning to keep the month of Abib. We should know Abib or Abib, meaning what? Fresh young barley ears, a month of ear forming, of greening of crop, of growing green Abib, the month of the Exodus and the Passover, right? So the scriptures tell us that we are to observe, meaning we're supposed to keep and we're supposed to follow after the ways of our customs, which was to keep um, the Passover during that month, right? So, one thing it says from an unused root, meaning to be tender, green, i.e., a young grain of rice, hence the name of the month of Bib, green, or ear, or green, or the ears of corn, not maize, fresh young barley ears. Okay. Uh, so this is from a farmer's almanac. It says what? The signs of spring. Now remember we read earlier that even the Greeks and the Romans knew and understood that the new year, and they was keeping their so-called new year or the new season in March, in particular March 21st. Well, the spring equinox usually hits around between March 20th and 21st. Okay, so that's the declaration of spring, typically around the 21st of spring. They kept it March 25th until they started tampering with the calendar. And here they came in, added the 2 more months. And then they said, okay, January is going to be the new month. We're going to honor Janus, right? And we're going to take away March 25th, the spring, the actual new year or the new season of the year. We're taking that away. So look at this. Signs of spring. The vernal equinox signals the beginning of nature's renewal in the northern hemisphere. Worms begin to emerge from the earth. Ladybugs land on screen doors. Green buds appear. Birds chirp and the flowers begin to bloom. So the signs that we're supposed to observe, watch, keep is for when things become green, new upon the earth. That's when we know we're in a bib, right? Green. We just got to reading that. Okay. Even when you're looking at the Latin numbers, we know and understand the prefixes of these numbers. By the calendar alone, when you get up here, septum is 7. What does a white man say? No, September is the ninth month of the year. Octo is 8. What does he say October is? The 10th month of the year. Novi, or Novem, he says that that's the 11th month is actually the ninth month, according to Latin language and the prefixes. Decem, meaning 10. December would be the 10th month. So, by definition alone, etymology alone, prefixes of the words, that doesn't even make sense. That the fact that you could say that December means 12 now, Octo means not. What are we talking about? So, clearly, even along their lines, devil's in the details. This is why people have to look and understand and study a little bit more just to have common sense reign over them. So, getting back over, read Deuteronomy one more time.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For
Hmm.
in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Now, go over to Exodus 12, read 1 and 2. So, it's letting us know that Abib is going to be when the Passover hits. Abib is when, we was led up out of Egypt. That was a marker for us to understand and know when this time frame was. The word alone, Abib, meaning green, ear, a young barley, new life. It tells you flowers beginning to bloom. You don't see none of that right now. You don't see none of that happening right now. So there's no way that could be the beginning of months. Let's read that.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So here we're seeing that Moses and Aaron are re-educating or actually educating the children of Israel. After we've been in there, as we know, 430 years in Egypt, you think our people was keeping the laws? We was doing right by the Most High? No. You had hundreds of years, man, centuries of our people being lost and following after the ways of Egypt. This is why the first thing they did, they ran out and they wanted to make a golden calf after Apis, right? This is why the Most High told us in Leviticus 18, after the works of the doings of Egypt and Canaan, ye shall not do. Works that you learned while we was over there. See, this is a key in understanding where we had to be taught again when and how to follow after the ways of the Most High. So he said, this month shall be unto you. This month, Abib, this is your beginning. Forget what you learned in Egypt. Forget what they was talking about. Unlearn that and learn this. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So Abib, meaning the green-eared month, the month when new life is beginning. Again, typically between March and April is when that will fall into place. And the heathen knew this. Greece, Rome, they was keeping it. We read that earlier. But they took that away, changed times and laws, and now have everybody following after the ways of unrighteousness and folly. Last scripture, let's close out Isaiah 30, 20 and 21. And this is the sad part.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but
Oh,
thine eye.
no, select. That's not the one I want. But you can finish reading it. That ain't the one I want. But I'm gonna get a different one. But go ahead.
But thine eyes shall see thy teachers. You want verse 21?
Yeah, Con, go ahead.
And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left.
Uh yeah, no, that was that was it of 21.
God, that was it.
Okay. Um so the most I think, yeah, this one I want. Ezekiel 33, and we're gonna read I think I want 30. Yeah, 33, 31. So that was still a good precept anyway. That must have been in the spirit. The Lord said, and he's going to give us a bread of adversity, the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore. So the teachers of the Lord, those are standing on principles of righteousness and truth, going out, sacrificing, studying, burning the midnight oil, trying to get our people to wake up, learning to apply the law, statutes, and commandments better, fastening ourselves in the manners of Christ, the apostles, the disciples, the great men and women of the books of the Bible. It said, even though we're going through hell, adversity, waters of affliction, so forth and so on, the Most High is going to always provide us teachers, leaders, and guides to help our people sustain themselves during these times. It says, and our eyes are going to see the teachers. This is why we have to be visible and be known. Hey, this is where you're going to hear the word of the Most High. It says, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. So there's going to be no let up. You're going to constantly hear and get annoyed when the Israelites is on the scene because we're going to be everywhere. All right. Read that Ezekiel 33. That's the one I wanted. Ezekiel 33 and let's read 31.
Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 31. And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them.
Do you hear
For
that? That's the cold part. Is I can be doing a lesson right now, about an hour and 45 minutes almost. Give you the facts, just like I said from the beginning, as um Morpheus said, all I can offer you is the truth. Choose up, red or blue. Two-thirds of our people are still gonna choose blue. You could give them facts, understanding, scriptures, the whole nine, to you blue in the face. and they still gonna choose blue. It says, and they come to you as my people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people. They hear thy words, but they will not do them. You know, our people can't give up their little celebration, their New Year's parties. They can't get rid of their traditions. They can't get rid of this stuff. But this is for the chosen. This is for the elect. These are for those whose ears, or those who have ears to hear. This is for, you to pass this information and share it to your friends and your family that's on the brink of, might be able to understand, or the ones that's mad because you won't keep following after these folly days. You can say, hey, man, I can show you better than I can tell you. If you can't explain it, send them a video. Tell them, hey, but check this out. This is going to give you understand the reason why I don't and why you shouldn't. And if they're really searching, they're going to pay attention. If they're not, they're going to delete it, or they're going to tell you, man, don't send me that. I don't want to see it. You know, people love blindness. They love to cover up, and they rather not know than to be held accountable and know. It says, for with their mouth, oh, I'm Salaki, go ahead. I don't think you read that part.
For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness.
See, Yahweh Shai even said that in Mark 7. He said, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. So he said, they show with their mouth, they show much love. Yeah, brothers, that's right. I'm with you. Yeah, you brothers stand strong out there, man. Man, I love y'all brothers out there doing this. And you hear that all the time. We'll be out there teaching. Yeah, that's a good point. I do see that. Yeah, I didn't know that about Jen. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more research. I'm gonna check that out. But their heart goes out to covetousness. You know why? Because wifey says, Well, we're gonna keep our celebration. I'm cooking these black eyed peas with the ham hocks, Negro. We ain't changing. Oh, come on, babe. We got. Well, you do that. I ain't eating them. Yeah, you gonna fall into that, and before you know it, the kids and everything, you're gonna fall right back into it. Sisters, I just bought this damn New Year's dress, and you know, I got my waist trainer on. I can fit right into it, and got my legs showing everything. I'm going. I'm wearing this. You're gonna go after your covetousness, even after sisters out there done seen and heard, understand and know you shouldn't be doing this, but they gonna do it anyway. Finish that up to 32.
And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice, and can play well on an instrument, for they hear thy words, but they do them not.
Yeah, everything sounds good, makes sense. Israel love it, but at the end of the day, they ain't gonna do it. They ain't gonna do it. All right, read verse 33, and we'll close out there.
Verse 33. And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them.
Yeah, we'll see that. When we see and know that those things happen, then we're gonna know that the prophet's been other people, man. So we'll know and see once we understand how the Most High is working, and if our people don't repent, our people don't change, then we know that they locked into following after this folly. That's just the bottom line, man. So all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, while you have man. Prayerfully, everybody got some understanding. You got some arrows in your quiver for your brothers out there that need to, sharpen up your edification in regards to following after the new quote unquote New Year's folly day pagan custom. You got a little bit to ride with. You know what I mean? Hopefully, y'all wiped your feet when you came on in. Shalom to my brothers and sisters out there in Jacksonville, the house of Elkanah. They gave the instruction, man. Wipe their feet. All praises. The elder dropped in the scripture, Zechariah 1:15, regarding Esau forwarding the afflictions coming down on our people. That's a fact for sure, right? All praises, man. All praises. So there you have it, man. There you have it. Shalom to my sister Monica. Hopefully you well, my sister. All right. What's up with that S? No, I'm just tripping. All praises, man. All right, y'all. That's it for us, man. Another episode. Not an episode. I'm so used to doing DSTM. Another class, man. Closing out the Shabbat, man. Everybody be well, man. Lord willing, we'll catch you on the rebound next week as we continue on with the works of the Lord. Might be have some impromptu stuff going on with the channel. Who knows, right? Pray for us and we pray for y'all, man. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High. Why Yahweh Shai, y'all be well. Shalom.